he under people say that understand that they exist, but what they're saying is in our system in America, there should be people who are paid a living wage at the bottom. And the way that billionaires take all of these profits on the backs of working people, that's why they're saying billionaires shouldn't exist. It's the excessive amounts of profit that they make on the backs of not giving their employees or people health care and grifting, the government, whatever it is. That's why they said billionaires shouldn't exist, but they don't want to eliminate them.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's stupid, rhetoric. I don't even agree with it, but it's a good talking point for people on the right.
I humbly apologize for misquoting the truth.
No, it wasn't misquoting the truth. It has to do with the fact that they're two separate things. It's just saying that you think that they shouldn't exist versus I think we should do something about it are two completely different things. So it's not misstating it. It's just they're two different things. And the distinction's important.
Well, Ben, wait a second. Why don't we have masked, armed people grab the billionaires off the street, throw them into vans, and then send them to concentration camps in El Salvador? There we go.
There you go. That would be a way to do that. Well, that would be something that I think Steve could complain about. But nobody is saying that should be done. But thank you for pointing that out.
So it was Susan Collins, and also I just reported that she only has a 14% approval rating in her state, so she didn't have anything to lose. And then Tom Tillis and Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand
so they only need one more.
Of course. How could I forget Rand Paul, that deficit hawk of all hawks?
So at the end of the day, Lisa Murkowski let us down. Surprise, surprise.
I guess she doesn't want to have to run as a write-in again.
She was given a few amendments, so that's why.
And she said she didn't want to be anyone's savior publicly in her CNN interview. She was concerned about her state.
Yeah, right.
They gave carve-outs for Alaska. These fucking people.
Fucking crazy. Andrea, can you talk now? Are you available?
A little bit. Sorry, I've been taking care of some things. I'm just catching up. Did the bill? Is it finished?
Yeah, it's done. It ended up 50-50, and Vance took it over the top.
Broke the tie.
It's finished, but it's not finished. It has to go to the House and get approved by the House. Now the thing is,
it's not going to be as easy in the House, is it?
Well, the problem is the House could change it. They could make it better, but they could also make it worse. They could just say that we want to cut more in order to lower the deficit. But so it's not good either way.
But I was watching the congressional voting record, and it was that's a fascinating thing for the nerds amongst us. I mean, the numbers of times they tried to introduce amendments to change it, to stop the cuts to Medicaid, to reduce the cuts to SNAP, and all different ways. I mean, the tactics are amazing. It just took forever, and they were all rejected. I mean, they were just rejected. Not all. I don't have the record in front of me now. I did earlier.
No, I just want to, ask the room if they do change it, alter it in the House, does it still have to be approved by the Senate again or not? Or is this?
I had an interview this morning from the middle of the night with Aaron Armis and Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah.
And she really, walked through everything. And what she said is that it has to mirror word for word exactly what was just passed. So the House has to make, and remember, things have changed. So they can't just go, okay, hi, yeah, here's our signature, we're done. They have to now go through it. They have to agree with every sentence and every word and every T and every I dotted in order.
So Josh Hawley has stated that if the version that includes the reduction of Medicaid happens, that he will not vote for it. He has said that. Does that mean he can? There's a situation where it goes back to the Senate and he can reject it?
That would be my impression from what she said. She really made a point of saying that it had to match word for word.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. I mean, a bill has to pass both houses in order to be presented to the president for signature. It has to be the identical bill. So, normally what they do back when Congress actually used to legislate is they would just have a conference committee. If they passed two separately, slightly different versions, they wouldn't keep bouncing it up and back. They would have a few members from each chamber who would get together, focus on the differences, come to an agreement about which way to go on all of those differences, and then they would sort of line it up and they'd say, okay, we now know we've got the votes in both chambers. We've taken a bill out of conference committee. Now let's just quickly pro forma get it approved. But in this dysfunctional Congress, especially how tight these margins are in both houses of Congress, it's not that, it's not necessarily that smooth. But yeah, the House either has to accept the Senate version or there's got to be another step.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. Yesterday, they put out this press release from HHS that they had announced a $2 billion Medicare fraud scheme that they've been working on forever. And it was Medicare and Medicaid. And so the fact that there is all this waste, fraud, and abuse is designed to help people lose trust in Medicare and Medicaid, and also think that HHS is going to fix all this. And that these people on Medicaid are all on it, all on it illegally.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what. Brian just came in the room, but we have Andrew and Perusin. So let's do this. Let's go to Brian and debrief. He might have something to say about the vote. And then we'll shift over to the international and talk to Andrew and Perusin and get some international stuff in before we get into closing comments. So,
sorry, I wasn't finished. You kind of.
Oh, okay, you go ahead. Go ahead, and then we'll go to Brian, and then Perusin, and then Andrew.
So there's still a chance then to keep calling the House to run some interference here. So we should be shouting that out to folks, and kind of not giving up on our input and power, and maybe getting more strategic about who are the most strategic folks to reach out to, and call your friends in that state. I wonder if there's any phone banking that might still be going on around this, so I'll try to find that and bring it back. And yeah, that was really it. And just that also sharing that in terms of New York, the Mandami ended up taking 56% of the vote. So we did break the 50% margin here. So that was interesting. They really mobilized the young voters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just enjoying watching the bromance between Trump and Elon go even further south, and just wondering what the reverberations in the MAGA split, mean moving forward. But Elon, well, it's nice to hear him say what he's saying now. A, we shouldn't be counting on him to save us in any way, shape, or form. And B, it's a problem in the system that he feels he can put such a finger on the scale. Self-appointed, not elected.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the conundrum that we have here, is that at the end of the day, I can see a situation where he will really be a problem for Trump. And he could, out of his own egotism and his own malignant narcissism, decide to do this. because he's as unpredictable as the Orange Monster. So but he's still the Nazi from apartheid.
Well, the threats to primary all the Republicans if they
But I guess he knew
voted for the bill. That let's see how that plays out. It didn't stop them from voting.
And look, if he ends up starting some third party and he puts a shitload of money in it and actually has some traction, at the end of the day, that may not be a bad thing.
Is he overlapping with Andrew Yang at all? Has anyone figured that out?
Yeah. Well, he has to look. It's the same as Trump. He has no ideology at this point. So this is just a power dynamic, and can this be manipulated in a way to get us back to some normalcy? Who knows? Who knows?
Well, let me add my 2 cents.
Go for it, Scotty.
In the same way the Republican Party, loves when the left of the Democratic Party fight with the centrist or the establishment or whatever, we should stay out of this. Let Elon and Trump and divide their party and, potentially help the Democrats in future elections. So we should stay out of it and grab your pop.
Exactly. Well, what's the saying? Something about when you see them digging a hole, just give them another shovel. There's no reason to get them to stop. All right, so where was I? Oh, we were going to go to Brian. Brian, haven't heard from you in a while. What say you the topics of the day?
Yeah, hey, good morning, afternoon, good day. I just came in a room to listen while I do some yard work, but this is a good break for me to tap in. Murkowski, backbone like a wet noodle, like many others. I'm not gonna call it the big, beautiful, fuck that. Excuse my language, but no. It's draining. I will say, and apparently this is something. So that's one, and then the second thing, as I'm learning from Clubhouse, which surprisingly we can do, right or wrong, but this whole notion of doxing, so which I don't know what the hell that is. I'm like, look, I'm an open book, but I get it. So I'm not going to say, but I got invited, was it Saturday? Friday, so it's Saturday to a luncheon with my local representative, my congressman here in suburban Detroit, and so I'm looking forward to that. It was only the invite was sent out to, I guess, a handful of constituents, and like I've mentioned several times, I'm not in politics. I just